Good morning or good evening or good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Talent Finders would like to introduce real estate broker, team leader of the Jones team at Compass, Ben Jones. So, welcome, Ben.
Thank you.
So, Ben, I'd like to congratulate you on all your achievements. Can you share with us how your career started in the real estate and broker industry?
So back in 2006, I graduated from Purdue University and I had played football at Purdue and had I was a kicker and had a couple surgeries after my senior year and wasn't fully healthy. And there had been some interest from the NFL, but I couldn't obviously do workouts or pass a physical because I was still rehabilitating from my hip surgery and my sports hernia surgery. And so my mom had been a broker for about 3 or 4 years at the time and was like, hey, why don't come get your real estate license and help me out while you get healthy. And then, obviously if football works out, great. If not, you have some experience in real estate. And
Yes.
I learned pretty quickly about 6 months in that I was never gonna, even though I was fully healthy, I never was gonna get back to the level um, of performance I needed to play in the NFL. So I just dove
Yes.
straight in with real estate. And here I am almost 17 years later.
Wow, that's amazing. So the real estate and broker industry is a highly competitive industry, and you have garnered an excellent reputation in central Indiana. So what do you believe has given you the leading edge over your competitors within your industry, and can you give us any examples?
Um, I think customer service. I mean, basically, where we are, it's very relationship driven.
Yes.
Thankfully, I grew up around here. Purdue's, while it's a Big Ten and a big university in the United States, it's only 45 minutes away.
Wow.
There's a lot of people that migrate from after college down to Indianapolis. So those relationships, and I think I'm not the typical salesperson. I truly have the best interests for my clients.
Yes.
I think that customer service is over time made it easier for clients to refer me to their friends and family and coworkers, knowing that I'm going to do the best job I can. They're going to be in good hands. And, I've been doing it long enough that, I know the market, I know neighborhoods, I know towns, I mean, central Indiana, I can walk into a house and probably give you a ballpark price of where that should be
Yeah.
immediately without having to go look at a bunch of comparable properties. Just because I've sold so many that you just learn and you know the market and you have knowledge.
Yes.
And I go above and beyond. For example, there's a house that's literally across the street from me
Yeah.
that I had clients in town from Buffalo, New York, and we had looked at everything on the market, and I knew that that house was going on the market across the street from me because her agent is her sister-in-law and had talked to my neighbor and she was moving. And so I reached out and got in touch and said, hey, my clients are in here just for the day. Can we just go look? Can we go take a peek and just to give them an idea of what this price range offers here in Zionsville, where I live. It's a suburb of Indianapolis. And they're like, sure. So we went in there. They loved it. And we wrote an offer and got it accepted before it went on the market. Now,
Wow, that's
because of the
amazing.
relationships with agents and people around the industry, I was able to get them in there. And then not only that, but to get them the house before it would have gone on the market. And so just that little extra to hopefully, put my clients in the best position for it. I mean, I didn't have to make the phone call. Like I said, oh, this is all it's on the market. Like, we'll see what happens. But I was like, let me make a phone call. Let's see if we can just get in here and
Yeah,
just that
that's
little bit.
amazing.
Yeah. So
So our worlds were obviously turned upside down and inside out when the pandemic hit. So can you tell us about your own experience and the market within Indiana and how this has changed
right.
from pre-pandemic to during to post? And not only the markets, but also how did you adapt and adjust? And can you give us any examples?
When basically everything got shut down, we were at a standstill here for 3 or 4 weeks where I mean, as everyone was, the world was basically frozen. No one did anything. Everyone didn't know what was going to happen. Um, and so as you know, those days went on within that time, you started to come up with ways of, hopefully keeping in touch with your clients and marketing your properties in a different way. And so what happened was once we kind of like first step of opening up, which was basically like masks and social distancing and only one family in a house at a time. And but what I did is because people, I mean, even some people were willing to come look at houses, other people weren't. They still, they didn't have the confidence to go out and into the world at the time. And I totally understand that. So I was going and doing videos of my listings. I hired a professional videographer and, because my sellers were obviously COVID conscious. And so they would leave and I'd have the house for an afternoon and we'd walk through and he'd shoot it and then he'd go back and edit it. And so then I would promote it, send to other agents, social media, etc. And so, that was a way for a potential buyer to basically walk through the house without walking through the house.
Yeah.
So, you just kind of adapt and change. And I think that was the biggest thing I did was I basically went right into video. And then obviously like post pandemic, I've still kept that up with the right listings, get videos, obviously social media, professional photography, all the bells and whistles to show it out on a light on social media or on websites, etc.
Yes.
To get them exposure to obviously get them sold. And so I think immediately right when the pandemic hit and right after, it was my biggest thing was video, just to keep people involved and to get maximum exposure.
Oh, that's amazing. So what have been the most significant changes you have seen, and how do you see the markets going forward? And what do you believe has made you so successful, irrespective of all the economic, domestic, and global challenges?
I think recently the biggest change we've seen are interest rates rising.
Yes.
A year ago right now, they were 3.5, and now we're mid sixes. That has slowed down the markets, and it's also diminished purchasing power for a buyer. So, a year ago they could afford this much on a monthly payment, and now they can afford this much because interest rates have gone up.
Yeah.
I think going forward, we still have low inventory, and so there's still demand out there. There's still buyer demand out there. Now, there's not as many buyers out there as there were a year ago, but there's not as many houses as there were a year ago. So it's still competitive depending on, as long as you're priced right in good condition. I showed homes this weekend, and while my clients didn't write an offer on any of them, I got emails from a couple of them that, hey, we have multiple offers, send us your highest and best. And so that's still happening just because there's such low inventory.
Yeah. It almost becomes a bidding war, right?
Yeah, it's exactly what's happened. But on the listing side, you just have to make sure you're priced right, because if you have aspirational pricing is what I call it, like you price it up here when you should be here, no one's even going to come look. Whereas if you price it right, you still may get to this number because of the people that are interested.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's kind of the biggest thing moving forward. I think is just inventory. I don't think that's going to go away here in 6 months or a year.
And do you think that interest rates are going to come down, or do you think they're going to kind of plateau, or do you see them going up even more?
I think we're going to probably move sideways for a little while here.
Yeah.
And then, it could go up 7, down to 6, but we're going to kind of bounce around in that range. And then towards the end of the year, everything I've read, I'm not an expert, but what I've read is they hope that they're going to kind of dip into the 5s before the end of the year.
Okay.
Which, who knows what could happen between now and the end of the year, right?
Exactly. It's been like the wild, wild west in the market anyway. So yeah, it's crazy.
But I think that once that happens, though, you're going to see more people come to market and list because they have a 3.5% interest rate. And now they're like, okay, well, I'll go buy the next house if I'm going to get something at under 6%, where right now they're not going to leave that 3.5% interest rate to go to 6.5. But then, so that's going to open up inventory on the listing side, but you're also then going to have more buyers enter the market because the rates have gone down. And so we just need more houses on the market. And the second part of your question, I have a mindset of thinking 6 months ahead. And I think over the
Mm,
years, that's put me in a good position. Some people show people homes or list homes and just want to get it sold to get a commission check. For me, it's about the relationship, building the trust, and then having it be a long-term lifetime relationship with the
mm,
client. Do the best I can, just so obviously I have a team, and I tell my team members, when you're showing homes to a buyer, you're already, you know, competing, or not the word, you're already presenting
mm.
yourself for the listing. And so it's like, if you have the mindset of like, why you're showing the home, that you're going to get the listing, like you're going to have, you're not going to let them overpay, and you're going to help them get a best deal. You're going to negotiate the inspection correctly, because when you go to list that house, you don't want them to put it back on you that, well, when I bought it, you didn't say this, you didn't say that. And so you're
Mm.
already, you know, you need to do your best job with that buyer, because then hopefully when it comes time to list it, they just come to you.
Yes, absolutely. So, what would you say some of your biggest lessons have been within your career? And I'm sure you've had multiple, but is there any one that stands out in particular for you?
Just being honest, not just with your clients, but with other agents. Because at the end of the day, it's not it, to backtrack, to be, to stretch the truth. It's going to come back and bite you. And
Mm,
your reputation is basically everything in this business. And if you get the reputation of, over exaggerating or lying, it's going to come back and bite you in the ass.
yeah, for
I
sure.
also think you need to be really empathetic with your clients, as this is the biggest transaction of their career, probably financially.
Yeah.
And just to have that understanding, that and to feel that, I mean, you just need to be empathetic with them, to help them make the best decision. And I think that's, if you do that, I think you'll be all right.
So you featured in the last 12 annual Indianapolis Star Special Editions as one of the top 3% of real estate agents in Indiana. So can you share with us more about this and how this came about? And what did you have to do to achieve this? Or was this just something that came up in your career that you
So
weren't expecting?
yeah, I wasn't expecting it. So when they started this, the awards kind of morphed from what I've been told. But when they first started it, it was a customer service award. So basically, it didn't matter how much you sold.
Mm,
You'd had to sell, I think, like 5 or 10 homes in a year. But the award was basically a customer service award. And so
okay.
your clients basically had to fill out a survey on their satisfaction with you, whether you represented their best interests, got them a good deal, sold their house at whatever. I never saw the survey, but I just know that that's what they said is basically a customer service award the first, 5 or 6 years. And then what happened is they kind of morphed it into okay, now you have to get the customer service aspect down, but then now you have to sell, you know, enough to be in the top 5%, 3% in central Indiana. And they basically made it more exclusive as the years have gone on.
Mm.
The first time I got the award, I was obviously honored, and I'm still honored every year if that I get it.
Well, it just shows consistency. So I think that's also a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't have said it better myself. You're right. I mean, to consistently get that, I think that's my biggest, probably means the most to me, is I didn't get it once. I've gotten it all 12 years they've done it.
Yes. So, as a third generation real estate expert, can you share with us more about this? And when did you realize that this was the industry you wanted to be in? So, you obviously elaborated on, your NFL, and obviously that never panned out. But I'm interested to know, even though you had the real estate or you were doing the real estate, like when did you really realize that that was kind of the direction you wanted to pursue a long-term career in?
Yeah, I mean, so I've been around real estate a long time. My grandmother was an agent, and it's funny because she's still alive. We text and email, and she's always like,
Amazing.
I remember when I had to drive to the office to get the key, drive to show the home, to drive and drop back the keys, and all the homes were in a book.
Mm,
How things have changed. But yeah, I think, probably about a year and a half, 2 years in, was when I realized that I want to do this like as a career. I enjoy the people aspect. Every day is something different. You learn something all the time. And I think, you know, I'm not at a desk 9 to 5, just sitting in front of a computer, being out and
Mm,
about,
yeah.
meeting people, seeing property, whether it's, nice $1 million mansions or farmland or barns or investor flips. I mean, you get to see it all. Um, and once I started really, you know, having success, it just made it easy, and it's now fun. I really enjoy it. I couldn't
Mm.
envision myself doing anything else. And I mean, it's been 17 years, and
Wow,
that's
amazing.
all I know really post college.
Yeah. So, what have some of your biggest career highlights been? So, again, you might have had multiple, but can you share with us more about what's been a real highlight for
um,
you?
I think one of my highlights, so there was about 5 years ago, I had a big horse farm listing that was on 11. It was an estate. I mean, it was pretty neat. And um, I'd had success, but I'd never had that like trophy property.
Mm, mm.
Um, Now we all watch all the TV shows. I mean, yes, it looks like all that, but in Indiana, it's only worth $2 million, where in California it's worth 40. Um,
Yeah.
so I learned a lot in that transaction of not only marketing but agent relationships,
Mm,
and ended up getting it closed. And it was kind of like it gave me that final, like, I was always confident in
mm.
doing my job, but I was like, okay, like I'm here and I'm here to stay. And
Yes.
it gave me that kind of like check mark of okay, especially like from respect from other agents around the city. It's like, okay, yeah, we know Ben does business, but now he's on our level, kind of for that top agent level.
Yes.
And I think that is probably my biggest career highlight. I mean, personally, it's also like growing my team and seeing my team members succeed, from literally new agent to closing multiple deals. And that's a highlight for me. I mean, it's kind of like it's not very noticeable to everyone else, but to me, to see them grow and become successful, that's a highlight.
That's amazing. So, I want to talk about leadership or the lack of leadership from both a business and global perspective. So, what do you believe makes your leadership style different? And how do you lead your team? And what do you believe needs to change the current narrative in terms of the lack of leadership from both an industry and global perspective?
I think what makes my leadership style different is I kind of treat my team members is kind of like how I would have wanted to been treated. At least I feel like I would have been treated. I
Yes.
hate micromanaging. I mean,
Oh, that's the worst.
I know agents that have teams that micromanage, and it's this, and it's almost like the agent's checking boxes just to make the leader happy. Versus me, we have team meetings, team lunches. Like we have a team lunch on Thursday where we all
Mm,
get together and build culture. I mean, we all get along, talk about what we have going on. Uh,
mm,
I'm very, get together, groups, positive energy, positive
mm.
discussion, help with problems. I think a lot of people in leadership want to have full control and like tell others what to do.
Yeah,
Uh,
which is
and
never great.
Right. And I'm like, listen, here, I hired you, I trained you, we sat down, we've gone over this. This is kind of like my model on how I had success. Yours may be different, but I hope you take pieces of mine to help you become successful, because
Yes.
only you know your relationships with your clients and your friends and your sphere. And I think I lead by example too with certain things, with, putting yourself out there with marketing and social media, but I don't really get negative.
Mm,
I'll make some comments and suggestions, but I'm never just going to like blatantly reprimand people. At the end
yeah.
of the day,
So it's about being solution based, right?
yeah.
So,
And I think there's also in real estate, there's also an element of personal responsibility where,
mm,
I can tell you to do all the things, I can show you all the things to do, but like if you don't want to do it, I'm not going to feel sorry for you if you don't have success. And
yeah,
at
of
the end of the
course.
day, that's your choice. I'm here to help you, but if you don't want to, I'm not going to get mad at you, but it's also you're not going to be out there making the money or closing the deals or meeting the clients.
Yes, absolutely. So you have a captive market, obviously, in Indiana. So can you share with us more about this and how did you achieve and maintain this?
I think it goes back to relationships and just doing a good job. Transparency. It kind of like is like a snowball. I mean, I built this, I started with, my first couple clients, and then they referred me and they referred me. And um, I don't buy leads. I don't, you know, I should say 90, almost like 98% of my business is referral from past clients, sphere of influence. Um, and so that's just how I've maintained, kind of like my level of success is I focus my marketing and my time and energy on my current clients. And
Yeah.
I should say people that I've worked with in the past or working with now, or my friends and family,
Mm,
versus like just trying to go market to someone on social media that is probably getting five other agents in their feed.
mm,
I have a big enough sphere of influence because I've been around Zionsville and Central Indiana, Carmel, Indianapolis for so long that that's just it's worked. And I just try and keep it growing organically because organically is the best way for me to build business. Because when a past client of mine refers their coworker, if the odds of that coworker bailing on me is slim because of my past client, that relationship. And so
yes.
as long as I do a good job, everyone's going to be happy.
Yeah, absolutely. So buying a home is deeply personal for every person and can also be very stressful for most that are going through that process. So how important is the customer relationship to you and how do you support your clients, especially, those who are very stressed about buying a home?
Or how important is customer relationship? I mean, it's the most important thing.
Yeah.
They're in charge. I work for them. And so I need to be, empathetic, knowledgeable, responsive, communicate effectively with them
Mm,
so they feel comfortable.
mm,
As far as supporting, I mean, just understanding what they're going through. I've bought and sold houses personally. I've moved. It's the worst thing to do. I mean, I hate moving.
yeah,
So with
it's
my
awful.
clients, I'm like, I know it's my job in theory to get you to move, but like, I know it's the worst thing ever. And so
Mm,
I'm just very empathetic and understand where they're coming from. And I try and make their experience as seamless as possible, whether that's doing a good job finding them a home, negotiating, but then also when they need vendors for an inspection or moving or a handyman, or, I just got a text this morning from a past client. And he's going to finish his basement. And he's like, Ben, do you have a couple contractors that you recommend? And just being responsive and send that. And the fact that he literally bought his house 5 years ago and
wow, that's
he's
amazing.
still reaching out to me for recommendations. I mean, it gives me a sense of pride that like I obviously did something right, that I'm still top of mind for him after all these
Mm,
years. He needs something when it involves his house.
yeah, no, that's amazing. So that leads me to the final question. So, what are the three key pieces of advice you would give to others looking to pursue a career in real estate or the broker business? And what legacy would you like to leave, or how would you like to be remembered?
I think for the three key pieces of advice, number one would be prepared to fail. And I don't mean that in a you're you don't get a deal done, whatever. I'm saying when you first start,
Mm,
you want to get clients, right? And
yes.
some of these clients have worked with another agent or someone and they have a relationship. And so you have to earn the client, whether that's getting a referral from a friend, meeting them at an open house, whatever. But it's
Mm.
not going to be as easy as like, oh, hey, nice to meet you. Can I be your agent? Like, it doesn't work like
No.
that. That'd be the first thing is like, and then number two would just be persistent. And I think that's not be persistent and bugging people, be persistent in your day to day.
Mm,
As far as like, what's your process of, I'm going to get up, I'm going to know the market. So I'm going to research what sold over the weekend. I'm going to write 5 handwritten notes to friends and family, let them know I'm in the business. I'm going to post on social media. Like doing that one time is great, but you need to be doing it consistently. So
consistently,
be
yeah.
persistent and consistent in what you do in your day to day. And number three, I'd say, honestly, probably have 6 months of income stashed away. Um, because if you have what I call commission breath with clients and
Yeah.
they think you're just out for the transaction to get that commission check, they're not going to want to work with you. And if they do work with you, they're not going to recommend you because they can tell you're only there just for the transaction. Whereas if
Yes.
you're relational and you build rapport and get to know them, then and do a great job, then they're going to start telling their friends and family.
Mm.
And what legacy would I like to leave? I'd like to think that my fellow agents would think that, I was easy to work with in a way. I was fair to work with, I guess,
Yes.
while representing my clients in the best way. I was very respectful, professional, but also had a good time, all within the boundaries of a good transaction. And with my clients that I obviously, understood where they came from, did a great job for them, and that they'd be bummed that, when I do leave the industry, whenever that is, that they
Yeah.
can't work with me again. And they're still, I hope they still come to me and say, Ben, okay, I know you're retired. I'll probably be 75 when that happens, who knows? But
Yeah.
the fact that they would still lean on me to guide them in whatever real estate they need, whether it's a contractor, buying a house, selling a house.
Yes. That's amazing. Well, thanks so much for joining us today. So, if people would like to connect with you, what are the best platforms to do so?
I just say Instagram. That's probably where I spend my most time. It's at Buy with
Okay.
Ben. Yep, it's pretty simple.
Oh, brilliant. And are you on LinkedIn at all?
I am. It's Ben Jones. It's a common
Okay.
name. So I would just search Ben Jones, Compass, Indiana,
Okay.
and I'll show up. And Facebook, I'm Ben Jones, and there's 100 of us, probably a million of us out there now.
Yes. Well, thanks so much. And hopefully, we can have you back in the future to see where you are in your journey. And thanks so much for joining us today.
Hey, thank you so much. It was great to chat, and we'll talk soon.
Thanks so much.
All right, thanks.